a Zaidi Shia revivalist group emerged and gained prominence in the early 2000s. This group, known as the Houthi movement, was named after its founder, Hussein al-Houthi, who was killed in 2004. Following his death, his brother Abdul-Malik al-Houthi took over leadership of the movement. The Houthi movement is deeply rooted in Zayd revivalism and proudly identifies itself as Ansar Allah, or Defenders of God. Under the leadership of Hussein al-Houthi, the Houthi movement underwent a politicization process. In 2003, Hussein al-Houthi openly opposed the US invasion of Iraq and steered the movement towards political activism. This shift in focus was seen as a direct challenge to then-President Ali Abdullah Saleh, who was perceived as having a favorable stance towards the United States. The Houthis are members of the Zaidi Shia sect, which is a branch of Shia Islam. Zaidis constitute a minority in Yemen, but hold a significant presence in the northern part of the country, particularly in Masada Governorate. Initially, the Houthi movement emerged as a revivalist movement with religious and cultural motivations. Its primary aim was to protect the Zaidi community from discrimination and what they perceived as the growing influence of Salafism in Yemen. The relationship between the Houthis and Islah, a Sunni Islamist party associated with the Muslim Brotherhood, is characterized by tension. Islah accuses the Houthis of being an Iranian proxy and holds them responsible for inciting unrest in Yemen. Conversely, the Houthis have accused Islah of collaborating with al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula or ACAP. The Houthi movement has garnered backing from Iran, a country with a Shia-majority population. While the extent of Iranian influence remains a topic of debate, it is widely acknowledged that Iran has offered political, financial, and military support to the Houthis. This support has encompassed the provision of weaponry and training, thereby bolstering the movement's military capabilities. The emergence of the Houthi movement can be traced back to its opposition to Yemen's former president, Ali Abdullah Saleh. The movement accused Saleh of corruption and criticized his perceived alignment with Saudi Arabia and the United States. The Houthi movement's rhetoric, which opposes Saudi Arabia and the United States, has been influenced by their interpretation of these countries' interests in Yemen and the broader region. Following the death of Hussein al-Houthi in 2004, leadership of the movement was assumed by his brother, Abdul-Malik al-Houthi. For almost 2 decades now, Abdul-Malik al-Houthi has served as the spiritual, military, and political leader of the movement. He is recognized as the key figure who has significantly influenced the movement's political ideology. Over time, there has been a noticeable shift in the Houthis' political discourse, transitioning from a primarily religious mobilization and activism under Hussein al-Houthi to a more assertive and statesmanlike approach under Abdul-Malik al-Houthi. Under Abdul-Malik al-Houthi's guidance, the Houthi movement has been successful in garnering support from diverse segments of Yemeni society, extending beyond their traditional bases. Despite facing several assassination attempts, Abdul-Malik al-Houthi has managed to survive and remains actively involved in the movement. However, he tends to limit his public appearances. In 2011, during the Arab Spring protests, Yemen experienced widespread popular unrest and demands for the resignation of Ali Abdullah Saleh, who had been the country's president for over 30 years. The Houthi movement, along with other opposition groups, actively participated in the protests against Saleh's regime. Eventually, Saleh stepped down from the presidency in 2012, but he continued to exert influence covertly. In 2015, a United Nations panel of experts accused him of accumulating up to $60 billion, while Yemen plunged into poverty during his 33-year rule. Following his resignation, Saleh formed an alliance with the Houthis to confront their common adversaries, including the internationally recognized government of Yemen led by President Abdurrahman Mansur Hadi. This alliance allowed Saleh to regain political significance and challenge his successor. However, the alliance between Saleh and the Houthis was fragile, characterized by power struggles and conflicting interests. In 2017, the alliance disintegrated, resulting in armed clashes between their respective forces. Saleh publicly declared his intention to switch sides and negotiate with the Saudi-led coalition, which had been conducting military operations against the Houthis. The Houthis perceived this move as a betrayal, swiftly cracking down on Saleh and his loyalists. Saleh was killed in December 2017 during the clashes with the Houthis. The Houthi movement has demonstrated resilience and adaptability in the face of external pressures and internal conflicts. It has managed to control significant parts of Yemen, including the capital city of Sana'a, despite facing military interventions and blockades. The movement's ability to survive and continue its activities can be attributed to a combination of factors, including its organizational structure, guerrilla warfare tactics, and the support it receives from certain segments of the Yemeni population. The Houthi rebels in Yemen have been involved in attacks on ships in the Red Sea. The Houthis, an Iran-backed rebel group that controls large parts of Yemen, have used drones, ballistic missiles, and anti-ship missiles to target commercial vessels in the Red Sea. While some of these attacks have been linked to Israel, not all of the targeted ships are believed to be connected to Israel. The Houthis' attacks on ships in the Red Sea are seen as a way to inflict pain on Israel and its allies. By disrupting commercial shipping in the Red Sea, the Houthis aim to create economic risks and potential damage to Israel's economy. The Houthi rebels have expressed their solidarity with Hamas and have put forth specific demands concerning the Israel-Palestine conflict. They have publicly announced their intention to target any vessel bound for Israel and have cautioned international shipping companies against engaging with Israeli ports. Moreover, the Houthis have insisted on the provision of essential food and medicine to Gaza. They have issued a warning that if Gaza's requirements are not met, all ships traveling to Israeli ports in the Red Sea, regardless of their nationality, will be considered potential targets by their armed forces. The Houthi rebels' assaults on ships in the Red Sea have raised international concerns and prompted the establishment of a maritime protection force, primarily led by the United States and the UK. However, the Houthis have made it clear that their military operations will persist, regardless of the alliances formed against them. In response to repeated drone and missile attacks on commercial vessels in the Red Sea, the United States and the United Kingdom have conducted airstrikes on Houthi positions in Yemen. These strikes were executed as a significant reaction to the Houthi attacks, aiming to deter further acts of aggression. In response to these airstrikes, the Houthi rebels have declared that all US and British interests are now legitimate targets. They have sworn to retaliate against the airstrikes and have issued threats to escalate their attacks on international waterways. The Houthi rebels are known for employing asymmetric warfare tactics, including the use of drones and missiles to target both military and civilian infrastructure. The religious connection between Iran and the Houthis is rooted in their shared Shia identity. Iran is predominantly Shia and wields significant influence in the region as a Shia-majority country. However, the religious bond between the Houthis and Iran is not solely based on their shared Shia beliefs, but also on ideological and strategic factors. Iran perceives Shia groups in the Middle East, including the Houthis, as essential components of its regional influence and part of its axis of resistance against perceived Western and Israeli interests. Iran's support for the Houthis is seen as a part of its broader regional strategy to exert influence and counter the influence of its regional rivals, particularly Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. It is important to note that while there are allegations of Iranian support, the Houthi rebels maintain their own distinct identity and objectives. The Houthis have developed their ideology around opposition to Israel and the United States, and their relationship with Iran is often framed within the context of shared anti-Israel and anti-Western sentiments. Thus, their connection to Iran extends beyond religious factors to encompass political and ideological motivations. The relationship between the Houthi rebels and Iran is not without its complexities. Although Iran has offered assistance to the Houthi rebels, the rebels themselves have their own motivations and are eager to expand their alliances. The Houthi movement is an indigenous Yemeni group with its own agenda and interests. The Houthi rebels make their own decisions and have been known to act independently of Iranian influence. Despite Iran's willingness and ability to provide external support, the Houthi rebels have faced attacks from a more powerful military, indicating that they are not mere pawns of Iran. There is no evidence to suggest that the Houthis take orders directly from Tehran. The future of the relationship between the Houthi rebels and Iran remains uncertain. The conflict in Yemen persists, and the dynamics of the region continue to evolve. It is possible that Iran may continue supporting the Houthi rebels as part of its broader regional strategy, but the ultimate direction of their relationship will depend on various factors, including the geopolitical landscape and the interest of all parties involved. In an account that is nearly identical, it is important to remember that the Taliban used to receive support from Pakistan, particularly during the 1990s. Pakistan provided the Taliban with military, financial, and logistical support, including training and safe havens. However, in recent years, Pakistan has distanced itself from the Taliban, and this distancing from the Taliban after it became a government in Afghanistan can be attributed to several factors. Pakistan has long been concerned about its border with Afghanistan and the potential for instability spilling over. The Taliban's ideology, which emphasizes Islam over Pashtun identity, aligns with Pakistan's interest in maintaining control over its Pashtun-dominated territories. Pakistan has a vested interest in a stable Afghanistan to prevent the country from becoming a base for anti-Pakistan activities or supporting rebellion inside Pakistan. While Pakistan initially supported the Taliban, its stance shifted due to various factors, including domestic politics, international pressure, and border concerns. The future of the relationship between Pakistan and the Taliban will be shaped by the changing dynamics in the region and the interests of the parties involved.